It's an age-old question. Does size really matter? No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about cruise ships. I feel like every cruise ship being built these days is claiming to be bigger and better than the last one, with more and more bells and whistles. And unfortunately, bigger ships usually mean bigger prices as well. Today, we're asking the question, do you prefer the newer, bigger cruise ships? Or are you of the mindset that it's not the size of the ship that's important, it's what you do with it? Hi everyone, I'm Jamie from Sharonatsea Travel, and thanks for joining me for the video today. Okay, all jokes aside, if you're a cruiser, or maybe you're thinking about planning your first cruise, and you're looking at one of the two largest cruise lines in the world, Royal Caribbean and Carnival, for your next booking, everything you're probably seeing these days, whether online or even in TV ads, are these new mega ships that hold well over 6,000 passengers or more. A few years ago, Royal Caribbean came out with the Oasis class ships, which are huge, and now Royal's Icon of the Seas has come out and said to those Oasis class ships, here, hold my beer and watch this. Carnival Cruise Line just added its third XL class ship, the Jubilee, to the existing lineup of the Mardi Gras and the Celebration. They're not the only cruise lines producing bigger ships. MSC, P&O, Costa, and AIDA all have ships that can carry over 6,000 passengers as well. Even Holland America, Princess, and other cruise lines have built larger ships that will hold more passengers and offer more of the bells and whistles we mentioned earlier. Oddly enough, the only cruise line that seems to be producing smaller ships is Norwegian Cruise Lines. Their two newest, with more on the way, are the Prima class ships, holding only about 3,200 guests. These two ships have come under a lot of scrutiny from passengers, complaining about the smaller size of the venues and the overall layout of these ships. Now, we've been on both Prima class ships, the Prima and the Viva, and although we had great cruises and we love NCL, we can't disagree with the issues people are having with these cruise ships. NCL seems to be focused more on couples cruising with these newer ships, while the other cruise lines are definitely focused on attracting families and people that are looking at the cruise ship as a destination as opposed to the ports. Now, that's actually another issue people are having with these larger ships. It seems like the newer ships are relegated to a lot of the same old cruise ports and itineraries, whereas the older, smaller ships are offering more popular itineraries to more desirable ports of call. It seems like a lot of the newest megaships don't venture too far from their home ports. For new cruisers, this isn't an issue. But for avid cruisers who cruise often, you can only visit certain ports so many times before they become a bit repetitive. Also, many ports aren't equipped to handle these larger cruise ships. Cruisers are being forced to make a choice to either cruise for the ship or cruise for the ports, and it seems like there isn't a lot of middle ground to choose from. Of course, cost and profitability is a huge focus for these cruise lines, and in many cases, these new mega ships are taking cruise lines out of the red and into the black, meaning they are finally seeing profits after all the losses they all incurred during the pandemic, and that's making the shareholders very, very happy. These bigger ships are more cost efficient to operate per sailing as well, since they are almost doubling the revenue with each sailing while only spending 25 to 50% more per cruise to operate the ship. Also, many people are pointing out that these newer mega cruise ships are more environmentally friendly. And that's always a good thing, but I feel like that's more due to advanced technology and not so much due to the size of the ship. But regardless, we always love to see the cruise lines paying more attention to how they affect the environment. Now, we've talked a lot about these mega ships, but let's not ignore the older, smaller ships because they are still sailing and they are often at full capacity just like their bigger siblings. Many people argue that the new megaships are ruining cruising by removing the traditional cruising experience. People are saying, why cruise when you can get the same experience on land at an all-inclusive resort? Others are saying that boarding these new ships is like walking into a mall instead of getting on a cruise ship. I remember when we first boarded Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas, which at that time was the biggest cruise ship in the world, and I recall my wife Sharon's first reaction.
I feel like I just walked into like a shopping mall or something.
Yes, it's weird, isn't it? Now, the smaller ships allow you to feel the ocean, and you always know you're on a cruise ship as you feel the gentle sway of the ship floating over the ocean waves, whereas on the bigger ships, you could cruise all week really without feeling the ship move at all. In the past, cruising was all about relaxing, exotic cruise ports, and of course, amazing dining experiences that you wouldn't often get back home. There's a certain intimacy that you get from smaller ships. Less crowds, higher levels of service, smaller venues and theaters for shows and other entertainment, and there's also the experience of meeting new people and making new friends. Now, I know that can be done on the mega ships, on those bigger ships as well, but you could chat with someone waiting to get on the ship on embarkation day, and once you board the ship, you might not even run into them the entire week on those bigger mega ships. The smaller ships often promote more focus on the cruise ports themselves that you're visiting, with talks, educational seminars, and things like that, in addition to any singing and dancing and performances in the theaters. Now, I know we haven't really answered the big question, is bigger better? But I guess that's really because cruising is a personal preference and everyone is different. But there is one consistency that I've found. Now, we've been lucky enough to cruise often and meet a lot of people while doing it. And the one thing that seems to be true is that the people that cruise more regularly and have been doing it for a number of years always seem to prefer the older, smaller ships over the larger mega ships. Now, I'm not sure why that is, but it just seems to happen that way. Sometimes when I hear of a first-time cruiser going on a brand new mega ship, I feel kind of bad for them, because if it's your first cruise and it's on a mega ship, then no doubt if you cruise again and it's on an older, smaller ship, chances are you're going to be a little bit disappointed, and it might be hard to appreciate what the smaller ship actually has to offer. Now finally, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, most of these new mega ships are putting a huge focus on family cruising. Kids are where the money is, and it's not because the kids are spending money on the cruise. I mean, once on board, they really don't spend much at all. Maybe a souvenir, some time in the arcade, a few sodas, and maybe an upcharge specialty meal somewhere along the lines. Plus, many cruise lines are offering discounts when you book for the third and fourth guest in the room, and those are usually the kids. But these newer ships offer something that's very valuable to the parents, and that is constant entertainment for the kids. Whether it's a kids club for the younger kids or all the cool things for the older kids to do, these cruise ships offer parents the invaluable experience of vacationing with their kids, but without their kids. Now for me, I've been cruising for 20 years, and I've had the pleasure of cruising those older, smaller ships, plus a few of the bigger mega ships as well. And in a week from making this video, I'll be actually sailing on the Icon of the Seas, the new biggest ship in the world, the biggest cruise ship in the world, I should say. But the truth is, I've learned to appreciate what both types of ships have to offer, and I've learned to adjust my expectations based on the ship and destination, and that way I'll never be disappointed in the cruise ship that I'm cruising on. So now it's time to hand this video topic over to you guys and ask the question, what do you prefer? Do you like the experience of cruising on the older, smaller ships, or do you prefer the new mega ships so you can ring those bells and blow all those whistles? Jump into the comment section below the video and let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read your responses. Before you go, if you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the subscribe button and giving the video a big old thumbs up. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Thanks so much for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next video.